Can a recovering drug addict drink alcohol? Possibly the most loaded question of all time. Let's get into it. First, as always, I'm going to start off by saying that things in sobriety are not always just black and white. There are situational stuff. Everybody's different. Everybody's situation is different. A lot of people think differently. So I'm just going to give you my experience and my thoughts on it and what I've noticed. But ultimately, you got to make the decision for yourself. This is ultimately just up to you. Now, I've never been a big drinker in my life. I've never been a huge fan of alcohol. I never liked being drunk. I never liked being hungover. Is this crooked here? Fix this shit. Better? Perfect? Okay. And I've never really liked it. And that includes weed too. So I've never been a big weed guy either. I can't smoke weed. If I smoke it, it's going to be the worst day of my life. And drinking alcohol, I don't really enjoy being drunk and I don't enjoy being hungover. Both of those things just kind of killed it for me. But when I had gotten out of jail this last time, 2014, I had been sober from heroin and crack. I had been working. I had been, saving my money, trying to get a place to live, just trying to work my way up. And I became just kind of lonely. I didn't have much to do besides working out and working. I wanted to meet some people. So I started going to the bar on the weekends and I would drink there, have a few drinks, and meet people. And I only did that during the weekend. I never drank during the week. And it never got farther past that. And it was never a big trigger for me. I never had a couple of drinks in me and I was oh, I got to go get some Coke now, or I got to go get some heroin now. It never worked that way for me. But some people, that might be the situation. Some people, they might be, they have a few drinks in them and then they want to go get some Coke, or then they want to go get some heroin or whatever, might be a gateway for them. For me, it never was. And eventually I phased out of drinking, mostly because I was mostly focusing on bodybuilding and it just didn't make sense in my life. It wasn't beneficial to me. It wasn't beneficial for fat loss. It wasn't beneficial for building muscle. And that's all I was focused on at the time, is just trying to do the best I could at that. So I phased it out. Now fast forward, 2025 that we're in right now, I still drink a little bit. When I say a little bit, it's very, very little bit, maybe once or twice every 18 months, maybe once a year, if that. And that's mostly maybe if we go on vacation and it's just me and my wife and I just want to have some drinks and be social with her, But like I said, it's never been a huge problem for me and I never really liked it a lot. My thoughts on drinking as a recovering addict, I think, comes down to one question. And that question is something that you have to be honest with yourself and you have to ask yourself is, why do I want to drink alcohol? In my situation, I wanted to drink alcohol because I thought that was the only way that I could meet people. Everybody was going to the bars. I thought that's the only place that I could go be social. But sometimes when you ask that question for yourself, you might possibly get an answer of, maybe you had a bad day. Maybe you've been feeling depressed. Maybe you've been feeling anxious. Maybe you feel like you can't have any fun unless you have alcohol. And I'm sure there's many more that go along with that, but those four main ones, if you're asking yourself and you're being truthful with yourself, and the answer is one of those four, that's a situation where you have to be very, very careful on the decisions you make there forward. I like to be very self-aware of what I'm putting into my body, what I'm doing to myself, and the way it's making me feel. Obviously you guys know that I'm quitting vaping right now, but Everything down to like the nicotine, the caffeine, the alcohol, the drugs. You know, why are you intaking it? Like, are you intaking caffeine because your sleep just isn't well? Or maybe you're just so worked up, you're so anxious all day long that you're just tired, you know? Or maybe, you know, you're drinking because you're just in pain, or you're drinking because, you know, you just can't deal with what's going on inside your head. You know, when you use these external sources like alcohol or drugs to like cover up a problem that's going on in your head, it's going to lead you down a bad road every single fucking time. 100%. You know, be self-aware. Be aware of why you're doing it. And that will give you your answer right there. I hope this helps you guys out a little bit. If you guys are loving the content, please like, please comment, please subscribe. If you have any thoughts on the video, please drop it in the comments. Let's discuss. I love all you guys. I'm out.